Hey, good morning and welcome to Breakthrough Walls. I'm Ken Walls and I'm your host. And today, I can't even, I'm so excited about this interview. I can't even, control my emotions, it feels like. I have the one and only Mr. Don Green. He's the CEO of the Napoleon Hill Foundation. And we're going to talk about his life. We're going to talk about the things that he's done. We're going to talk about his new book, and we're going to have a lot of fun. But I want you to do me a favor, and I need every single one of you to share this interview out on all your social media platforms starting right now. Go ahead and share this out. And there are huge blessings in store for you if you just share. You got to share. Got to share. We'll see you guys in a second. And we are back. Let me bring Don on. Don, welcome to Breakthrough Walls.
Great, Ken, to be with you. And I'm just watching those people, Ken's Star, Grant Cardone, and Brian Tracy, all those legends that you interviewed, even me be on the same show. That's quite an honor.
And now I have the greatest legend of them all, which is you. So I'm trust me, every single one of those people look up to you. I can guarantee it. Guarantee it. You have accomplished some amazing things. You've taken the Napoleon Hill Foundation to levels I'm sure that they never even expected. And so look, this show is about helping people have a breakthrough in life. And I truly believe that if we hear about how other people faced troubles and they got through it, I think that there's just magical healing power in that, Don. And so I want to start with you telling everybody. And by the way, there's going to be times when I give you full screen. I'm still here. Don't get nervous. I'm still here. But I want you to start with telling everybody where you were born and raised in case they live under a rock and they don't know.
Okay, Ken. I was born in Dickinson County, Virginia, a rural area. My dad was an underground coal miner. He and mom grew up during the Depression. Both of them had seventh grade educations. And I once asked why, and they said as far as a teacher went, and there was no high school within miles and miles, and there was no school buses. So what did they do? The boys at 14 or so go into work in the coal mines, and the girls up and get married. You know, mom was one of 16 kids, dad was one of 10, and they learned hard work and honesty and had a lot of faith. And I hope they're smiling down on us today. The brothers and one sisters all turned out real well, and proud of the whole family. But gosh, I had a thirst for doing things even as a kid, because my dad never handed us money. I would never have asked him for a quarter or nothing like that. And I can remember a conversation with my mother. It cost $8 to join the Boy Scouts because I saw some of the other boys and I thought that little uniform was cute and all. And I told mom I needed $8 to buy a Boy Scout uniform. She said, "Honey, we can't waste your daddy's money." She said, "He crawls around them old coal mines and he might get hurt. He might even get killed." This is to an 8-year-old kid. And so she said, "Why don't you mow your uncle's yard?" Said, "He gives you a quarter every time you mow it, don't he?" Said, "He ain't got no boys." And I did, and I picked up pop bottles and what have you. And you know, I made more than $8 that summer, but I didn't spend it because I earned that money and I knew who I made it. So I had a desire to make my own money. I mean, from every little thing you can think of, picking up pop bottles and mowing yards and picking corn out of the garden and sitting upside the road. We cut cut Christmas trees and mistletoe during the school time was out, and just amazing. And of course, then when I was in high school, I built a little zoo. I caught rattlesnakes and showed them. They had no fears.
Did you really?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
I made a lot of money, and I hope the statute of limitations is gone, because I was a kid. And I said to my dad, I said, and he was honest now. He was an honest person. And I said, Dad, I've made money. That I'm making money. Do I have to pay taxes? I file taxes. He said, kids don't have to pay taxes. And I took that as gospel. So we had got no license, no nothing, and started selling souvenirs. And I found out you could buy a little ashtray, little comical ashtray for a quarter, put a little sticker on it that said Indian Mountain Reptile Garden, and get $1 for it. And so it was just and I learned a lot of lessons, Ken. If you stopped there and brought people, then the next time I would probably recognize you, and I'd say, Ken, you don't have to pay me a quarter. Would you show these friends you brought around and tell them about the monkeys and snakes and the birds and things I've got back there in the zoo? And so that puts you on high stage, and you just relished it, getting that attention from your relatives who are in visiting for the summer. So it was marketing, I guess, 101. It just seemed to me to be nice. It wasn't nothing I learned from the books. But during that time, I developed a love for reading, and it's never been the same.
so hold on. You had monkeys and bears with the snakes?
Well, they were in separate. I only had one bear, but I had 5 monkeys. And I had snakes, but they were in a den. I mean, it had been an old block building that tore down, but the walls were still there. And they had to do a little bit of work, and had a concrete floor, and we just catch them and dump them over in there. And
Oh
then
my Lord.
there was a walkway around it, and people could look over and gaze over in there to see them. I wouldn't even get down in there with them. I wasn't afraid of nothing. I never did
Oh
get
my
bit,
Lord, have mercy.
but
That is
I never did get bit, but come close. Well, I did get bit by a black snake one time, but that was my own fault.
oh my Lord.
I got struck on this little girl that come in and visit her dad. Her mom and dad were divorced. She stayed with her mom through the year in Baltimore. In the summer, she came in, and I got struck on her. She had a cute little blonde. So I had this big black snake. This is when they had Polaroid cameras. So I got this little gal side of me. She's wanting to stand close to me, but she's afraid of that black snake. So someone took her a picture with a Polaroid, and that flash went off. He bit me right there in the side of the head.
Oh
That was,
my Lord.
that was my life's most embarrassment moment, because the blood went everywhere. And but
They're not now. Black snakes aren't poisonous though, right?
no, but they bite you. They got them old sharp teeth.
Yeah.
It hit me right there on the edge of my hair, and that blood running down down on my t-shirt. I was embarrassed. But
Do you know, by the way, do you know Steve Rizzo? Him and Gittimer are really, really good friends. You know Steve?
the name, but I know Gittimore. We spent a lot of time with Gittimore. But
Yeah.
But
Steve's a very famous comedian, very famous, very good friend of mine. And he's on here watching. He's a matter of fact, he's got a book. I'll send you a copy of his book. I got a bunch of them. I'll send you one. But so you grew up, gosh, I can relate to that. I grew up in poverty and had to go out and mow yards. And we had those little bicycles, and I would pull a mower on a rope behind my bicycle, going door to door, knocking on doors, asking if I could mow their yard. And you'd stop that bicycle and have to turn around real fast and stop the lawnmower from crashing into your back. But so I can relate to that, having to go out and work and make it on your own.
Well, I remember as a kid, we didn't have running water. We didn't have a bathroom in the house. We got that when I was in, I guess I was in junior high school. But even in schools I attended had outdoor facilities till I went to the 7th grade. And we had running water spigot outside, but you use the outhouse, and then to wash your hands, you had cold water, no soap, no nothing. And to wash, but that's just, I thought everybody else lived the same way. And, but we eat good. They farmed, and we eat very well. But I found out, there's a different way than working in a coal mine. So my dad. Uh, my dad, that's all he knew. And I guess they made good wages for the time. And I had some experience with summer pulling mining steel out as a kid. I think I don't know, I got 75 cents for $1 an hour, but it's about 40 inches high. And of course, our parents didn't really know what we was doing, my brother and I. But they put a person in prison today for working a kid in a it's a mines that basically worked out, and they had steel rails, and so we had to go in there with wrenches and WD-40, and when that wouldn't work, the saw and a couple of the rails, they were about 15 foot long, and hook a rope to them and drag them outside because the steel was even in. I remember it's $400 a ton. So, it's a valuable commodity, but the mines had been shut down. There was nothing we had, had to have light to see with. And it's about 40 inches high, but just something clicked in me. These old guys are killing themselves like your dad working. You can make your money like them people you've been reading about them books. And I just got addicted to the books. And I drove a school bus when I was going to school, and got 2 years college. It's a 2-year school year. It's a 4-year now, but it was 2 year back then. And I just learned to make money originally because I needed to, but then later it seemed like things came so easy. I was a bank president by 41. My first job was a finance guy going to see finance company customers who was behind, and I was making $1.15, and everybody loved it because I knew I was going places. They called me hot shot. I managed an office. I got a letter somewhere that said I was the youngest manager in their history. I had guys working for me about twice my age, but yeah, they called me hot shot.
So you were like a collection agent or something for the bank?
Yeah. No, for a finance company.
Oh,
okay. I think the rate was around 24% they charged them, small loans. And back in, you're talking about the early 60s, people like that, wasn't many of them had phones in their homes. So you send out several notices, they got 2 or 3 payments behind. They give you a card and said, go collect this money. So you had to get out there and knock on their doors. And, that's what I did. And I remember listening to Jim Rohn, Napoleon Hill, all these other greats. I listened to them. I wasn't stopping nowhere and eating lunch because my wife packed my lunch. And I would stop and get a soft drink and pull off the side of the road somewhere and eat my sandwich of peanut butter and jelly or what it was, rather than going in and eat. But I was loving every minute of it. And so I worked in the finance business, and I made manager, and I was contacted by a guy that started a bank, and my name was given to him as he needed some depth. The bank was just opened up, and he didn't have adequate people. I came over and interviewed. I remember the interview. It was June 1975, 48 years ago. And I remember like it's yesterday. He said he read the same books. He was a graduate of Virginia Tech. And today he's a mentor and a supporter and a personal friend. But he told me on that day in June 1975, Don, you do a little extra one day, it won't matter. You do a little extra for a week, probably nobody knows it. But I'm telling you, if you'll work harder than the other people around you, one of these days, you're going to be the success that most of the world only dreams of. And I remember it. I remember it. Of course, he read the same book, and he's an avid reader, just like our attorney, Bob Johnson. Seems like the people I'm around that's extremely successful, every one of them are avid readers.
Yep.
Of course, you probably heard me use the Mark Twain quote, people don't read are no better than off if people can't read. And there's a whole lot to that. So if you've read a few hundred or a few thousand books, even if you only remember a little bit in one of them, then it's well worth your time. And
so true. So true. So this guy that interviewed you 48 years ago.
Yes.
48 years ago.
75.
And that was just to work at the bank, not to be the president at the time, right?
No, I was the second person at the bank. And I worked there 8 years. He sold the bank to, which is now Bank of America. He sold the bank, but he liked me. And in the sales agreement with them, they agreed to give me a position of management, and I did. And I worked with them a year. And then I was contacted by a people that had a savings loan, and it was broke. I'm telling you, it was broke. But that was in 1983. But at that time, there were so many of them, and the guys that owned it was actually a savings bank. They were friends of Warner, not the President Warner, Senator, but one that was married to Liz Taylor, John Warner, and so he had told them, "Y'all keep a positive balance when," and said, "We'll not close it." So I took it on them circumstances. Was naive, I guess, but they only had $35,000. Can you imagine a bank with $35,000 capital?
No.
But I,
What?
but I was naive. I was naive. The first year I made $80,000, and they thought I could walk on water. The next year it went to 400 and some $1,000. Then I got to where I was making $1 million, and this was on a small bank. This is on a small bank, and I had 18 years there. I never foreclosed on a single loan that I made, not one, because I learned to work with people. I get old Ken in there and say, "Ken, you got problems." "What do you mean I got problems?" I said, "Other people's behind." "Yeah, but Ken, you're the only ones that get ready to get sit out on the street. Now, here's the thing we can do. You can do nothing and we'll sell it. You can put it up for sale and you might get some equity in it. Or you can work with us. And that's a decision you get to make. I'll work with you. I'll work with you if you get this thing called up." And I work with them. Yeah, you know, and I said, the 18 years, and we primarily made home loans. We didn't make second mortgages. We only made first mortgages. And I did 15-year loans, which I think I started at in this country. It was stupid to do a 30-year loan. If someone runs an amortization schedule, which I did on 100,000 or ever what, and you look at 30 years against 15, the payback is absolutely unbelievable, because you're sitting there basically just barely covering interest. And the payment on a 15-year loan is not that much. Person thinks without knowing a 30-year loan, the payment will be half what it is 15. Look it up sometime. It's not the same, because the first thing on that loan you got to do is cover the interest.
Yeah.
And then what you pay above that comes off the principal. So the 15-year loan became very, very, very popular. And I think I kind of originated it because, and I never made anything past 15 years. And I see my good friend Justin.
I know. I was getting ready to say that. There's Justin.
I love Justin. He's been sitting in this seat right here where I am when he come to visit me in our archives. We spent a Saturday together, and it was just an absolute.
Look, you see what he says.
Yeah, he's also, if Steve don't watch him, he'll replace him as comedian. He's also funny.
He's hilarious.
Funny.
I love Justin. So you started doing these 15-year mortgages, and that wasn't what everybody else was doing. How did you convince people they needed to do a 15 instead of a 30?
Well, I can remember one real. It was a doctor, and he was a foreigner. Oh no, he said me went on 30 years, me payment would be half. So I already had a tapes laid out there, amortization schedule on 30 years and an amortization schedule on 15 years. And he didn't want to know what the difference, what a big difference in it, because they're sitting there paying interest. And usually, and in fact is, the longer the term is, the higher yield the bank wanted on the loan, because it stuck out there that long. So it's just a fact, and most people hadn't realized it. Even I noticed when I started financing cars, the people started going longer and longer on the cars because of the price. And when I was around, they were doing 24 months and sometimes 36, but very seldom it had to be a new car. They started going to 42, 48, 60 months, 72 months. But it may look good selling it, make it a little easier to sell it. But what happens is they build up no equity in the car, and it kills them on trade-ins. You take a 6-year loan out and you pay on a year or two, and you still don't have no equity in the thing. So they hurt themselves on repeated sales on the things. And I think it was Volvo a while they came out and was doing 8-year financing, and I'm not talking about the car or not, but you don't want to start replacing the parts on the car and you're still making payments on the thing.
Right.
But people simply don't do finances is the same thing I did when I was studying for the book Millionaire Mindset. Victor Hugo had a comment 120 some years ago. He said, it's not that people were planning on failing. They just failed to plan.
Right.
And I would ask you and I would ask the audience, why is that? Ken and his wife goes on vacation. They go to the beach and come back. And Ken says, won't we go to the mountains next time? Well, I thought you liked the beach. That food is good and all. You liked it. Well, I think we ought to go. And they'll do that for about 10 months right before the time to go to vacation. Yeah. And she goes to stores. She makes that order: bread, milk, all these items, list all them down. They plan to go to the store. They plan for vacation. Why don't they plan their lives? Why don't they plan their lives?
Well, Ken and his wife do. Just to be clear, but I think Justin might have some planning issues. I'm kidding. So no, you're right though. Most people don't. They do not make a plan.
No, and I guess it's for some reason I got a pad. Sometimes I send note out. I think I wrote one to Justin. I know I wrote one to Russell. It says there are 7 days in a week, and some days not one of them. They always think they got time, and all of a sudden they're 65 or something, they're retired. And the NBC Wall Street poll says 2 out of 3 people 65 don't have $1,000 in cash.
Yeah.
Which is sad.
Very sad.
I bet Justin Benton and Russell Brunson had that much when they was in school. Yeah.
There it is. You sent it to me.
There are 7 days a week, and some days not one of them.
And you sent me a bunch of these. I love this. Thank you for that, Don, because I totally agree with that. Totally agree.
Well, it's been a pleasure. When I was teaching the class here at the college, I taught it, I don't know, 11, 12 times of a night class and give them the money back. And that's the first night I told the students, now I want you to do me a favor to get back in your dorm or your home or where you're staying. And I want you to look on your calendar and hunt for someday. I said, when we say someday, Justin said it never come. Some days a lying to ourselves. Someday I'm gonna go visit the old folks. Someday I'm gonna start making contributions to my church. Someday I'm going to do this and so forth. Someday I'm going to pay off my credit cards. And there is no someday. And all of a sudden we think, gosh, what happened to the time? Yeah. It's kind of sad when it's not that difficult, and there's just one word involved in, and that's discipline. And without discipline, we have a miserable life. Yeah.
Yep. I agree. So Don, you said you worked at the bank for how long? 8? Did you say 8?
I worked at the bank 8 years, and then I took a job as president of a bank, savings bank, and I did it for 18 years.
Wow. A different bank.
Yeah, different bank.
Okay.
Yeah. I was naive when I took the job. I really knew how bad it was. Then the big dollar is, we get to do pretty good. And I go to lunch with one of the guys, and I said, I'd like to give the employees a raise. We ain't got no money. I said, but here's the thing: you don't have to give me nothing. You're going to pay dearly for me as this thing goes along, because I got a contract with you. But I said, they've not had a raise in 3 years. I want to give them a token amount just to show we have confidence in them for the work that we're turning out. And well, I guess you know what you do, and go ahead, and I give them a little money, each one of them. And of course, we didn't have that many employees, but still, yeah, it was the idea. And I've always used that. I took care of the people that work with me. Nobody works for me. They work with me. Amen. I know good and well, I don't care where it's a foundation or where it's a bank. If I turn results on, usually the board of directors are pretty sharp bunch of individuals, or they wouldn't be on there. And they can realize I can remember once that it came up in the reviews and was doing really well. And one of the older trustees, dude, have that much stock, he said, in front of me, he said, I've never known anybody make that kind of money. And one of the other ones said, Mr. Brown, we're not living in a depression no more. said, look at the balance sheet, look at the income statement. We need to take care of Don. If he don't perform, said we'll throw him out the window. He used a few other words, and said we're on the second floor. Our boardroom was on the second floor, so
Oh my
it's kind of funny. But I never had to ask for anything because they reckon. And when they came to me and said, Don, we're living in Florida now, and this was a guy's son. His dad started it, and he said, we spent an awful lot of time with this. Things is going good. Do you think you could get a buyer for the bank? Oh yeah. It was year 2000. I said, and I had a lot of stock, 92,000 shares. I had built up to because it same as cost me nothing because it wouldn't have no value. And but then I found several different people and
to buy the bank.
By the bank, and the stockholders were rewarded tremendously with their stock. And I told the new people, I said, I can go to work for any other bank in town. They've heard we might be selling out, and I've already had job offers, but I'm not going to work for another bank. But here's what I'm asking. I want to draw my salary for 1 year after I leave. I want to keep the bank car. I want you to pay my benefits. And they come back and I said, okay. And I told my wife, and she said, that don't seem right. What it don't seem right? You're getting good money from two different people and you're only working for one of them. I said, Bill, honey, this is what you call a deal. The deal was good for me and it's good for them because them customers, they would have followed me.
Yep.
And of course, I had the job with the Napoleon Hill Foundation. Right. They had told me for 2 or 3 years at least, Don, if you ever take a notion to get out of banking, Mike can't travel, his health's bad, and said, we don't know anybody that knows the books and all like you do. Wow. And so it was just from work one Friday, and then I had a dry cleaning business, and I had built that thing with intent when I built it. I put a pretty nice office in it. It was only 12 foot square probably. Yeah. So I put a desk. My friend gave me a little wooden desk. I had the books, and I went to Walmart and I bought a phone with a built-in fax machine. Year 2000. That's before the internet.
Yeah.
And I got a hold of a book that listed publishers all over the world, and I started writing out letters. Girl from the bank would stop by and pick them up and type them overnight, bring them to me the next morning, and I'd fax them out. We started doing business. I sent books all over the world, and then was fortunate to get PDLs filed. So now we have over 500 foreign publishers. And recently, I counted, we got 36 publishers in Russia alone. 36 different publishers.
This is for the Napoleon Hill Foundation.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Holy moly. That's insane.
Yeah, it is absolutely unbelievable. It's nothing to do 4 or 5 contracts in 4 or 5 different countries the same day.
What now? Okay, so back up a little bit. So you left the bank, you went to work immediately for Napoleon Hill Foundation, and you didn't even have like a building. It was, you had to open an office in your dry cleaners.
Yes. And I was there for, I guess, I don't know, at the time, a couple of years, I guess. And the college offered me space out here because I was involved with the college. I was on the board, and I was already teaching the class, and they offered me because they wanted me close by. And so we've been here the 20 some odd years, and we our archives and offices and all. Well, I said, Justin, my friend Justin, he visited. We're not Justin loves my jacket. Yeah, I guess it is a North Carolina basketball is. Yeah. The next time he's here, I'll take him down there to my little clothing shop in the resort town of Boyne, North Carolina.
Wow. That's awesome. So you just open up your little, you said 12 by 12 office in your dry cleaners, and
had to keep the door shut, calling noise.
Oh my Lord, have mercy. Yeah, Justin wants to know about your dry cleaning policy.
Well, it was fun. I had more than 30 suits, probably 35. Because I thought in our material, you dress for the other person. And I wanted them, when someone walked in the bank, I wanted them to know who the president of the bank was. He's that guy in that expensive looking suit and that nice tie on. They didn't have to ask. They didn't have to ask because these little old ladies comes in with money. They expect you to look like a banker.
Yeah.
And I did, but I was not satisfied with the local. In fact, I was taking them to another town when I'd save a few and take them.
Yeah.
Because so I ordered over Inc. magazine, which I've subscribed to. They had a publication there about running a successful dry cleaning operation. It was $39.95. I ordered it and started studying it. And it seemed that the women were really appreciating drive-in facilities at a dry cleaner, which means they don't have to take their kids out of the car or whatever.
Right.
They don't have to leave the car. So that was one aspect. And the other one was a one-day service, which sure it took 3 or 4 days.
Right.
And I just learned some stuff. You know, we already had the land and built a building and bought all new equipment and got the company come and train the people for a few weeks. But I just learned things. You know, I would teach how to treat people. And was open from 7 to 7. And I told the lady, and she'd been a manager of a dry cleaning. I said, Juanita, we're going to give same day service. What do you mean? I said, if they drop it off by 10 o'clock in the morning, we're open till 7 of the night. They can pick it up as they go home. You can't do that. I said, well, let me ask you something other. If I'm on the way to the bank about 7:30 in the morning, and I've got 6 shirts, white shirts, I want done, how long does it take you to do them? About 3 hours. Okay, I'm going to give you 2 suits. Okay, have to be dry cleaned. How long will it take them? Oh, about the same. They're different operations, but they're big the same thing.
Yeah.
I said, why do we lay them down on the floor and walk on them for a week before we get them? Which is typical dry cleaners. We had tables. Nobody's clothes was touching. So I said, what I want you to do is when they bring it in, start process it that day. And if we're shorthanded, we'll get some more people, but we're going to give one-day service. I don't think she believed me, but it worked. But it was just teaching some things. I can remember down there once in the fall, I just stopped and check, see how they're doing coming back from after bank is open till 7. Sometimes I would stop and check on them. And there was a bunch of little girls, giggly girls, they was 5 or 6, I don't remember. But they were in the band and they were going to the same high school I did. My daughter was going there, and I know they had 125 or 150 in the band. And they brought their uniforms to get them dry cleaned.
Yeah. And
I told them, I said, girls, this first trip, we're not going to charge you. You're not going to charge me. No, I said, it's free the first time. And you could tell all them other students in the band, they bring their uniforms down here, and the first time we'll clean it for free. So when she left, then Juanita says to me, we're fixing to go broke, ain't we? Do you think Wendell Barnett, that was my partner, do you think Wendell Barnett and Don Green's going to go broke? She said, what if they don't even use our cleaners? They're not even our customers. Well, we're giving them a good opportunity to be that. And if they don't, I said, then that's okay too. We made an attempt to do it, but I'm sure we'll pick up a lot of customers. Yeah. If we don't, that's okay. And so it's just things like that. I remember one Saturday morning, the bank wasn't open on Saturday, and I stopped down there one Saturday morning, and this lady comes in, and she's got some clothes. And she asked her, she said, it was pretty early in the morning. She said, we've had a death in the family. Could I get these back today? Of course, Juanita knows what to say. And so she told her, yes, she could get them. And so after that lady left, I said, now, Juanita, when she comes back, don't charge her nothing. Well, she said, I think that's the first time she's ever been here. I said, well, don't you think she's had a death in the family? She's had enough trouble. Wow. I said, we'll give her a good reason to come back and see us. And we never advertised. We never give coupons. Wow. It was word of mouth. And we charged more than the other people did, but we gave service. Yeah. Like Ken would stop down there the first time. I would get it. They would make a tag up that says Ken Walls likes his shirts lightly starched, folded for travel, or what your circumstances was. And the name of the place was The Cleaners. Ken's wife says, Ken, would you stop at the Cleaners? That's us. We was the cleaners. That's all
That
name we
is
had.
so awesome. Oh my gosh.
Well, and we give them that bag, and they could put their clothes in it, and then they could drop it off, and don't have to say go through this or that. Somebody else could drop them off for us because it had right on their name tag. It had lightly starched shirts,
Yeah.
folded or ever how the circumstances was, and you would turn that bag in with your dirty clothes. And then when they got the clothes cleaned, they would also clean the bag with your name tag on it, and they would give that back to you with your freshly clean clothes that you could accumulate your clothes in the next time. So it was a wonderful operation.
There's such a humongous life lesson in what you're talking about. It reminds me of when 30 some years ago, when I first listened to Brian Tracy, had this CD course out called The Psychology of Success. And I listened to that over and over and over and over and over. And I'll never forget him saying, it, if you do more than what you're paid for, eventually you'll be than paid more than what you do, or something like that.
Yeah, it's strictly out of Hill usually, but it's from Ralph Waldo Emerson's theory of compensation. And he went on to say is if you're doing more than what you'll be paid for, you'll be recognized your boss, or another boss will steal you away.
Yeah.
So it's true to it. You got people that seem to thinking, well, I'll do more when they pay me more.
Right.
But if someone hires you at $20 an hour and you don't have some initiative to go a little bit beyond that, then you have to do the reward, and then it'll fall. Or if it don't, you'll get it someplace else. I remember doing a fundraiser with Zig Ziglar at a Christian college up in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And he was in a plant down there, and he asked an old boy, said, "Buddy, how long you been working here?" He said, "Ever since they threatened to fire me."
Yeah.
But that's a lot of people's attitude, just enough to get by.
Yeah.
Just enough to get by, which is sad.
It is sad. And I think that, I know there's no way to change people. I wish there was. I wish there was a way. But I've heard it said that pain is a predecessor of all wisdom. Right? Like, don't touch that burner, it's hot. No, it ain't. Yeah. Oh, yep, it is. That's where wisdom comes from, right? So you did the bank, and then you got into the Napoleon Hill Foundation. And so where did things go with the Napoleon Hill Foundation for you once you got in there? I know that you really are I know you won't like this term, but single-handedly put the Napoleon Hill Foundation on the map, so to speak. What are some of the things that you did besides sending out books to people that made the difference, you think?
Well, I travel quite a bit, but I guess I just looked at things different. For example, I found out if, say, Poland inquired about Think and Grow Rich, then, Darlene, I'm all with you. I'm ready for a change. But there's a little bit of joke about the normal person. It says people resist change. They said the only people that welcome change usually is a baby with a bad diaper, and it cries during the whole ordeal. But we have to change if we want results. We have to change. But I just did things. That I said, give you an example. If someone sent in a thing and says we would like to license Think and Grow Rich in Poland, they write back and say, "I'm sorry, it's not available." That's not the proper thing. It said, that book has been licensed in Poland, but we have these other books. We have Success to a Positive Mental Attitude. We have Grow Rich, Think and Grow Rich, and Peace of Mind, and so forth. So I want to go back to them, not just never give them a no. Tell them what you can do, and most of the time it works out, because first off, they're in the position they want to publish some more of our books. So maybe the one they want's not in available, but we have these other ones, and I still use that same principle today, and we continuously do them. I mean, like when Napoleon Hill Secret, once it went to print, we had a PDF file. And of course, it goes up as a pre-order several months ahead of time. And so we start contacting those publishers. I don't even know what the foreign countries we've already licensed it to: Korea and Portugal and Spanish, and I don't know, a whole bunch of languages. So we've already licensed it in.
Wow.
And the book just came out. It just came out this week. We just keep doing it. And of course, we have so much content. That's what I tell our Cleona O'Hara and their friends with the Napoleon Hill Institute, we call it, doing the coaching.
Yeah.
They have access to so much information, not just thinking and Rich. They come here and spend a week of filming me, but we had 16 books when I started. 16 books in Napoleon Hill. Today we got 170 or something.
Oh my Lord, have mercy.
We published 11 new books last year, and this year we'll probably somewhere like we'll probably do 10 or so, because we've got all these radio programs he did, all these things that he did that was never put into a book, and it's just amazing.
So Justin has another question.
How many books you've also published since you took off? 150 or so. We published new ones since I started, and we're not quitting. We're not quitting. I have 2 other books that it's Napoleon Hill and Napoleon Hill material, and I got a lot more stuff to work with. Well, Justin, he's seen it. We got just all kinds of stuff. You know, he lived with me 87 years old, and his first things, which Justin and my good friend Russell Brunson, he wrote an advertising course, and I can remember it's 416 pages long.
Oh my gosh!
He taught car salesmen, and it was dated 1917, and I showed it to Russell when he was here. And Russell, with his group at ClickFunnels, they would use that content to basically educate people and market and so forth. It's he was teaching people how to sell cars and how to sell insurance. And most people don't realize, they think he wrote his books. His first book was 28 with Law of Success, but he had to do something in the meantime. He wasn't making his living out of just writing. He trained car salesmen and he trained the insurance thing. And I think probably, and his grandson thinks so also, he was probably the most or one of the first to teach people how to sell cars. You know,
wow.
And they is some of the folks like Russell Brunson, they've got it down pretty pat and selling. I mean, it's a serious subject, but a lot of it is so simple. I think I learned things. I taught my daughter Donna, who's a miraculous young lady. I mean, I'm so proud of her. She's my only child. But she's married for 33 years now, I guess, and 1 grandson. But I taught her how to sell Girl Scout cookies, and she loved the Girl Scouts. She had all these little things. I could tell you stories after stories of her getting how she got Richard Nixon's autograph and getting a letter from the FBI because she tried to get Jimmy Hoffa's autograph.
Oh, jeez.
But I got a letter from the FBI. Sorry that you're not on the Hoffa's list to receive mail, so she didn't get his, but she did get Richard Nixon's by writing to Hubert Humphreys and saying that they haven't give her a autograph. But anyway, the cookies thing was on selling. I said, now, Donna, I said, you put your little uniform on. Your mom's just going to take you around the neighborhood. She'll stay in the car, and they were selling 4 cookies. And I said, you go up and knock on the door, ring the doorbell. When they come see it, you're going to see a cute little girl wearing her Girl Scout uniform with all them badges. And you tell her, I'm Donna Green. I live here in Mount Carmel, and I belong to troop number 824, or what the name was. And said, we're selling Girl Scout cookies. And said, we have peanut butter and mint and chocolate chip and one other one for them. Which ones do you want to buy? You're going to get a yes. what would a kid typically say? They'd rung the doorbell and they come and said, "Ma'am, we're selling Girl Scout cookies. Do you want to buy any?" Well, no, I don't think so. They could say yes or no, but if you ask them to pick from which ones, then they either one. It don't matter which one to do. So one Saturday we wasn't open. I was managing the finance office. Her and her mother went to the bank to do a little bit of banking or something. Of course, Donna had a lot of nerve. She goes up to one of the tellers and tells them that she says, "I'm selling Girl Scout cookies, and I'd like for you to help me sell them." Said, "My daddy banks here, and he's got a lot of money in the bank. Probably $500. I may have had $500, but to her, it's a lot of money."
Right.
So
Yeah.
I think it was Kingsport National Bank, and they had Crosser. They had 5 or 6 tellers, and so them girls, they were competing to which one could sell the most Donna Green cookies.
Oh
So
my God.
one of my employees would go down there and make a deposit and come back and say, "Don, them girls at the bank says they're about out of cookies, so I'd have to take some more big boxes of cookies." So by the end, when it's all done, she sold more Girl Scout cookies than the whole troop put together. And she still says that today. Even my son-in-law says he would not dare go with her to trade cars, anything, or to buy a car. He said she's so much better. She's so much better than I am. And he told me his first year or two of marriage, he said, "Don," he said, "your daughter amazes me." He said, "I could drive her out in the country and leave her on a big rock, and before the day's out," said, "she would be filling out some way to make some money." And she's got 3 businesses. She's a CPA. She's got interior decorator. She's had several pages in Better Homes and Gardens.
Wow.
And just amazing. I was with her a few weeks ago, and I said, "Donna, are you always this busy?" She said, "I don't know where I learned it from."
Yeah. Right.
But she's goal oriented.
Yeah.
You know, it's Jim Stovall introduced me one time. After I introduced him, came here to speak to college. And if you know Jim Stovall, he said, "I tell you something about Don. He don't know what the word no means." Because I had asked him about 3 times to come and speak. Of course, we don't pay for him. And I know Jim, he gets up $50,000 for a presentation.
Yeah.
And he looked up a couple of years ahead. But he was involved in making movies. And so the second time he was tied up, he told me, he says, "When is it?" And I said, "It's the last Monday in October." He said, "Mark it down. I'll put it on my calendar." And he showed up, and he stayed a day early and showed him around. And we talked and planned stuff, and wonderful individual that,
wow. You did a book with Jim, didn't you?
I did The Gift of Giving.
Yep.
And it's living a legacy. Living a legacy. I mean, if you got a chance to do a little bit of good in the world, you don't have to wait till you die and say, "Oh, he left $100,000 for scholarships or whatever." Yeah. Why can't you do it and see the effects of it? And that's what we're trying to do. But I met Jim, and this material allows me to meet Justin, Russell, Ken, all these other wonderful people, plus helping young people at the same time. I read one of Jim's books one time, and he talked about being mentored on Think and Grow Rich by Lee Braxton. Well, of course, I knew who Lee Braxton was. He delivered Napoleon Hill's eulogy. Yeah. I picked up the phone and I called Jim and asked him, "Did he know that?" He said, "No, I didn't know that."
Wow.
And so it got started, and I have published 7 books with Jim or for Jim, and I've never given him a nickel. He's contributed all of it back. In fact, he's a scholarship here at Napoleon Hill in his mother's name, and I've never sent him a check for nothing. And he's just a wonderful. I mean, the man's blind, but he was mentored on Think and Grow Rich when he was going blind while attending Oral Roberts University, and he's so successful. He's done about 60 books. And if he's got a column that's been doing for 20 some years called Jim Stovall's Wisdom for Winners. It's free. Comes out every Thursday. I've never read a bad one yet. I've been reading them for years. And
he I think Mark Victor Hansen told me, because I think Mark and Jim are good friends. Didn't he have some responsibility in the closed captioning on television or something?
Oh yeah, he founded the narrative for, and they got 8,000 visitors. Yeah. He worked with Ted Turner. It's a narrative for people to visually empowered.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
yeah. Yeah.
it's amazing. I've got his speech he gave. Her talk was 30 minutes long, and college recorded it, and I got them to sign off on it. I got the copyright to it, and I'm going to start sharing it with the people of the Napoleon Hill Institute. And, I'll give a copy for Russell for his use, Brunson, if he wants to do it. I'm not trying to make no money off of it. It's just a wonderful. It's most. I've never heard of more inspirations. He tells about going blind and helping this little 5-year-old boy who later died of cancer and so forth. And it's just amazing. And, he did one movie with the last movie, James Garner, if you remember him, was on TV and that programs, but it was Ultimate Gift. It was the last movie James Garner made with, God, what's that girl's name? Abigail, something or other. But anyway, it grossed over $100 million. That one movie did. And the book,
what's it called?
Ultimate Gift.
Ultimate Gift.
Yeah, and it's the book. I think it sold 5 million copies. The book did. It's but Jim could just turn stuff just absolutely amazing, just amazing. And who publishes books? It's done that many. It puts their phone number in the back of it, and their phone number you can call and talk to them.
It's unreal.
He never gets tired of it. Right before the COVID thing, he gave Oral Roberts University $1.5 million.
Wow.
The Stovall School of Entrepreneurship, and it's not named after Jim, as he told me the other day. It's named for his father. His father worked for Oral Roberts like 60 some years, and but the Lee Braxton story. Lee Braxton was a tremendous story, and he quit school, I think, the 4th grade to help his family during the Depression, and he retired by the time he was 48. And he gave all his money to Oral Roberts University. I think he kept a couple million to live on or something.
Yeah.
But he promoted the Baptist College, Oral Roberts University, the rest of his life. But he's a personal friend of Napoleon Hill, and like I said, he delivered Napoleon Hill's eulogy, which we have the letter of the eulogy.
Wow.
That he gave.
I literally I could just I'm gonna come and see you. I've made a decision. I'm coming, and whether you're gonna have me or not, I don't know, but I'm showing up. But I'm like, the wisdom that comes out of you, Don, is just it's mind blowing, and it's all through. So many people live life and don't really live life, if that makes sense. And you've put yourself out there over and over and over and over for all these years, and it's just garnered so much wisdom that you have to share with the world. And that's why because the more I get into this book, Napoleon Hill's Secret, your newest book. And by the way, everybody watching, I'm going to put this in my Amazon store. It's not there yet, but I will put it in I'm an Amazon influencer. I'll put it in my store, but go to Amazon or go to Google and type in Napoleon Hill's Secret and go to Barnes and Noble or wherever. It's everywhere. Like, go pick up a copy of this book right now. And Don, when we were on Amazon the other night, I got messages afterwards of people that bought 10 copies of this book. Remember I said, go buy 10 copies of it and give it out to people, learn how to be a giver. A bunch of people did. So go buy a bunch of copies of this book, give it out to people. I'm here to tell you that I'm known as a giver, and I'm not saying that to brag in any way. I can just tell you that I've said this to people. You cannot outgive God. You can't.
That's what the lady I work with all these years would say. She knows I've done something. She often told me that, and I said, "Hey, I'm not even trying to approach it. We can't do everything, but we can do something." And so,
amen.
Here's what my little something is. Why I hope it makes a difference. But the influence on it is unbelievable, and given without ever expecting it. Who would ever think you could send 2 books to Nigeria and to someone that would end up giving you $300,000? I mean, I never expect to hear from them after I sent the 2 books, and it was several weeks. And the gentleman called, And he said, he calls me Mr. Don. He still does.
Wow.
He said, Mr. Don, them 2 books was yours. He said, I've been in every communist country, Laos, North Korea, North Vietnam. He sold malaria drugs. And he said, them 2 books you said you was going to send, they was here when I got back. I said, well, I said, Polly, that's what my mother told us. If you tell somebody you're going to do something, just be sure you do it.
Right.
I told him I'd send you the 2 books, and I wouldn't expect nothing in return. He said, I am going to wire you $100,000. He wired $100,000. I called him, thanked him, and I told him, I said, Paulie, do you ever come to the States? Oh, yeah. He said, my daughter's an attorney, lives in Maryland. I come visit her. And I said, well, let me know the next time, and you come to see me. You like Dr. Hill so good. And he said, I will, and I'll bring you another $150,000. And he did. So it got up to $250,000, and now when he visits me, he brings me $10,000 in cash and says, Don, this is for you. I thank you, but I don't keep no money. It's given to me like that. It just goes to the foundation.
Wow.
But we never know. I mean, I don't ever give no expectations of something like that. Or my friend Russell Brunson. I mean, just making friends is and to help someone else. It's just a good feeling. The good book tells us we're here to encourage one another, and Acts 20:35, not preaching, or you say it's more blessed to give and receive. And I think people don't understand that. I never give with no expectations of receiving something back, but I credit. If you was around me, Ken, I can almost do nothing. I have no technical skill, no mechanical skill. My dad could fix anything. I don't know what's wrong with me, but I can tear up stuff. But my mind is creative. I can see, and I think the reason I'm creative, I'm at peace with myself.
Yeah.
I have no hatred, no jealousy, no envy of someone else. We can sit here and say, well, why ain't I got Ken's money, or why ain't I got Elon Musk's money? Get over it. Deal with what you got, and be thankful every day when you get up that you got another day to do. Because as I've told you before, is the little card on my table, which I don't have to look at it, but it reminds me if I miss it, it just simply says, God, show me someone I can help today. In Jesus' name, amen. And it's not going to happen that I leave this office that I'm not sent someone a book or a note or made a phone call or done something or another. And it can only take a few seconds. But when we have a chance to do something or another for someone else and don't, we're the ones getting cheated. We're the ones getting cheated.
I gotta say that, I talked to you, whatever it was, a couple of weeks ago. We talked on the phone for about an hour and 20 minutes, I think. Which was a life-changing conversation for me. And you said, well, give me your address. I'm going to send you a couple of books, is what you said. And you sent me more than a couple of books. But what was interesting is I thought, well, that's really nice. He's going to give that to his assistant or something. And they'll send me a book or something. I get this package, and it's more than obvious to me that you're the one that sent the package. You went to the post office yourself, and you sent the package, and you wrote inside of each one of these books this beautiful handwritten note. And I have to say that, and you didn't do that for any manipulation purposes or hoping to gain something from me or any of that. You did that because that's who you are. And I would encourage everybody watching to follow in your footsteps, man. Just like people need to, we live in such an entitled and self-centered society. I feel like, and you're just not that way. And I love that about you. You're from the old school of what you just said. Acts what
3:35.
Yeah. And that is, it's more blessed to give than to receive. But the irony in that is the more you give, the more you do receive, but it's got to come from the right place in your heart. You got to be, there's got to be a place in your heart and I love that about you, Don. I think you're an amazing human being and a great man. And I hope that we're friends for many, 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 many more years. So, thank you for who you are.
Well, I've been truly blessed. There's no doubt about it. I can remember, growing up and working and learning to make money, and some of the kids had Corvettes and T-Birds. This was in the mid '50s. I think a Corvette come out in '54 or '54, I guess. And I was able to buy a 1936 Ford from this widow woman. It was one owner. She didn't even drive. Her husband passed away. And it was, I think it was $300. I was so proud of that car. It was a 36 Ford, but see, I bought it. I bought it. It was my money, It made all the difference in the world. I was so proud. I was so proud of that 36 Ford. And it was the best. It was the best dating car of my life. That my daughter even found out about you. I guess the tails, whatever, because it had little curtains on the side windows you could pull down.
Oh, geez.
So when you went to drive-in movie, you just reach over and pull them little side windows down. So if somebody wants to see who's in the car, they had to go around to the windshield and look through the front because they couldn't see from the side because he had a little curtains. So that was worth a fortune. But
Oh my gosh.
anyway, it's something about something when you see. I love Walmart. I love Amazon. I got both of them stock. If I go into Walmart, I see those kids putting money in those little machines and so forth.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking right off, that kid never made that money.
Yeah.
A parent or grandparent gave that money. And the sad part is the money has no meaning to them. It just puts your hand out and put something in it. See, I pick up pop balls and walk 2 or 3 miles and take them to the store and have 25 or 50 of them and get a quarter or get 2 quarters for them.
Yeah.
I earned that money. I'm not going to go put it in some hole somewhere hoping to get something other for it. I learned the value of money, and it stuck with me. Initially, it was for my own benefit, but then I discovered I could also use that money to help other people in some aspect, whether it be a Nicaragua or the church or saying. And I don't mean to say to boast or anything, but I mean it's just a good feeling to be in a position that you can make a difference in someone's life, to buy kids books or pay their tuition and so forth. And with knowing that you're not getting nothing in return for it, because they're in school. I mean, I don't expect nothing back from them, but maybe when they get to be adults, they think, well, that old guy, he helped me out. Maybe I can help somebody out. And that's it. That's the only intent. For me to directly get any benefit from it, none whatsoever, other than I feel good that, hey, maybe I helped somebody out and made it a little easier for them.
That's so incredible. I want to make an offer to anybody watching the live stream right now. For the next hour, if you don't have the funds to get a copy of Don's book, if you send me a direct message, my email is ken@kenwalls.com. I will buy you a copy of the book and have it shipped to you. So get this book. I believe in this man. I believe in this book, and I believe in helping those in need. And I'll tell you something that, Don, you and I talked about this the other day. I used to live in Atlanta, Georgia, and I had this preacher 30 years ago, 35 years ago, sitting in church, humongous church, 3,500 people in the congregation. And he says, well, when the offering plate goes around today, don't put anything in it. There's going to be an envelope. I want you to take that envelope out and don't open it until I tell you to. And so when it was time, I opened up the envelope, and inside it, and it's tattered really, really bad. I carried this in my billfold for a long time. I finally took it out because I'm like, it's gonna crumble in my wallet. But in this thing is the scripture, Malachi 3. bring the whole tithe and offering into my storehouse so my children may have food, and et cetera, with a brand new $1 bill stapled to it. And I've had that for 30 plus years. And it's a reminder. And I personally don't think that the tithe has anything to do with paying a church. I think it's about giving back, taking 10% of your income or more and helping other people. So, Don, you are an incredible human. And I want to continue helping you live your legacy.
Well, that's I'm humbled by what you're saying. It's and I'm deeply appreciated. I know we're not going to. Thank you, Sue. Thank you very much. Maybe we'll cross paths. I got
Jose bought it too.
Jose.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
I appreciate it, and I appreciate hearing from him. I
Yeah.
said, I never ignore anybody who makes a request. So maybe something other that I can't help them, but if nothing else, we can always give someone a word of encouragement.
Yeah. Absolutely.
When we don't want to cheat ourselves, because
Let me.
sometimes
I want to ask you a question, and it's a question I ask every single guest I have on the show. And that question is, I think it's one of the most important. I think that money and happiness are related. And I know there's going to be a lot of people who disagree with me. I didn't say the love of money. I said money and happiness are related, because I've been it's like Zig used to say. He said, they say money ain't everything, but it sure does rank right up there with oxygen. And what do you think, in your opinion, Don, holds people back from having real financial success and joy, freedom, and happiness in life? And I think those all kind of mesh together.
Well, I think I'm very convinced that there's only one road to happiness, and that's make someone else happy. Because as long as we're concentrating on ourselves, I can think, God, I don't have that money. These people, I got some billionaire friends. They got $5 million houses, and got one $5 million house on the beach. And you go to the place, and like my friend Ramey's got a Rolls Royce convertible and a sedan and a Bentley and a Tesla and a Genesis and what else and all. And we own a $2.5 million Lamborghini special edition. But it will be absolutely miserable. But if we'll concentrate on making someone else happy, doing something for them, that's the only way we'll ever be happy. Things won't make you happy. You should get as much enjoyment out of the book as you do in your car.
Yep.
And but money is a tool, and that's saying it's the root of all evil. It's not. It's the love of money. It's what money can do. You can take money and pay a kid's tuition. You can send money to St. Jude's, or you can go out and buy some drugs and get a so-called high, or what you want to call it. So it's how the money is used. I mean, I've been a great supporter for St. Jude for ever and ever and ever. I just love the work that they do. So and every little bit makes a difference. And I'm not judging what other people's able to give. I don't know their financial situation, but I do believe we get to give, and it's an important aspect of our personality. And if we hoard money's got two aspects. We can have money, or money can have us. When money's got us, we're going to be one miserable individual, because we don't turn loose of we won't turn loose of anything for nothing. We worship in the almighty dollar, and it's only what the money can be used for. It's important, and I think we're rewarded. There's a verse, I don't remember the exact whereabouts it is, but it simply says, "Them that give freely will be made richer; them that withhold will suffer want." And don't you believe the good book? Don't read it if you don't believe it. It says you'll be returned to you overflowing. In other words, we'll get back more than we give.
Yep.
And if you don't believe that, you just need to lay the book back down. And just like what you said was tithing, I know that means 10%. Of course, people can make excuses. Well, that don't mean this or that or whatever. I think at least 10% or more. It's not ours to keep. It's not ours to keep.
That's
And
right.
yeah, and when those people says, well, I'll give more when I make more. No, it's like the widow's mite. She gave in proportion of what she had. So, and that's what I think it means. And even in tipping, I always assume that those people are really needing to work. And I don't know, Hill, one place, he said, if you're into a restaurant or somewhere and he's tipping, and mine will come, how much do I give them, 5 or do I give them 10 or whatever? He said, always leave a larger amount and you'll feel good to yourself when you leave. And there's so many stories that I could tell you. People never see me again, don't know who I am or whatever. It doesn't matter whatever. I told you the story. I'm coming from CBS morning show in Richmond. I was driving back, about a 7-hour drive, and I wanted to get back, and I drove, and I'm looking for a place to eat, and I saw a Cracker Barrel sign I cut off, and I got to an Applebee's before that, and I went in. I was in a hurry, so I ordered a salad. I figured that's the fastest thing, and I paid for it on the card, and then I left the tip, and I told the lady I didn't need nothing else. I was in a hurry, and when I got about to the door, I heard someone holler. She was a Mexican lady, elderly, to be working as a waitress. She hollered, Mister. And I looked at her, thought I'd left my coat. You know what I'd done. She said, and then she held up that bill. She said, you left this on the table. And I said, ma'am, that's yours. She started crying.
Yeah.
She said, I'm raising 3 grandkids. You don't know how bad I need this money. She don't know my name. I've never seen her since. Don't know what her name was. But I felt good, and I got in the car that maybe I helped her out a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe, and I wasn't expecting nothing in return whatsoever. I've been through there, but I've never stopped at that restaurant. I've never been in the place again, because that was when one of my books come out about 10 years ago, I guess.
You just said something a little bit ago, a couple minutes ago. You said, and this is coming from the great financier, Mr. Don Green, president of a bank, CEO of Napoleon Hill Foundation. You said it's not yours to keep. It's not yours to keep. And I've said that and lived by that for most of my adult life. And I really think that that's what attributes to my success for sure, is having that mindset of, we're here to help other people. There's a country song, ain't never seen a hearse with a luggage rack. you, you ain't taking it with you.
Well, I was president of the foundation board here at the college for 16 years. It's a 1-year term, and they kept putting me in. And this past year, I said, guys, please, when you get someone else younger, I said, I'll serve on the board and what have you. So I did it for 16 years, and it was fundraising, and we've done a miraculous, and it's non-paying. And because I guess got involved because of banking, I know some people had funds and so forth, and our success has been absolutely remarkable. The size of endowments we got for a little school. But I was talking to a friend, and I was just saying, if you got a little money and you get somewhere 60, 70 age or somewhere, you should start thinking what you could do with it.
Yeah.
He said, what do you mean? I said, well, I don't think we're going to take any with us, but we're close to the same age. But if you go before I do and you take your money, would you get word back to me how you done it? I think he got the message. I think he got the message. But and I got some good friends. It's just not in them. Hopefully it'll come about before it's too late. As Andrew Carnegie said, disgrace to our rich. And of course, one time he is the world's richest man. He did really in proportion to what he had. He gave it all away except for about $20 million, which was, remarkable in the size of the amount of money he had to give. Well, wait, Mr. Stone. I don't know. Mr. Stone gave away somewhere like $350, $400 million before he passed away. He didn't wait till he died and leave it. And
wow.
I can remember Mike Ritt, who was the only other person to have this job. Mike was kind of his secretary to it, and he had a daughter named Donna. She was involved in child abuse. She thought she could solve a child abuse problem, and so she'd come to Mike and say, when they buying billboards and all the stuff that they're doing, setting up chapters across the country. and she'd asked for money, and it got to be an awful lot of money. And so Mike thought, well, I need to tell her dad how much money I've been giving away. And Mike said, Mr. Stone told him, said, listen, if Donna comes to you and needs money and the money's the bank, you write the check. That's what you're getting paid for. He said he kept his mouth shut from then on, but he was just a giver, because, and you know, he grew up on the streets of Chicago, 6 years old, out selling papers, raised by his mom. She was a seamstress. He got out and sold papers and get beat up by the bigger boys and what have you. But he said at night, no matter how bad a day, said they got down and they would get on their knees and pray before they went to bed. Wow. So that remained to him throughout his life. Those lessons that he learned from his mom. He was just a tremendous individual.
Wow. Don, I know you don't have all day to be on here, neither do I, but if I could, I would sit here and talk to you literally all day. You're the wisest man that I've ever known, and I'm so grateful to call you a friend, and thank you for coming on today and sharing your wisdom with the audience. And if y'all don't have this book, stop that right now and get the book. And if you can't afford the book, hit me up. I'll get you. If you live in the US, I'll ship you a copy. If you live outside of the US, I'll get you the Kindle version. But Ken at kenwalls.com, that's my email. So hit me up and I will get you this book if you can't afford to get it. Listen, I appreciate everybody on here. Make sure that you share this interview out on all your social media platforms. Even if you already shared, share it again. Share it again.
Let me show you something with just laying your eye before we go. Can you read that?
Hold on, right there. The Law of Success in 16 Lessons. This is a copy of the original manuscript. Wow.
Okay, and you open it up. It's copyright 1927.
Wow.
I put it on a PDF and I furnished it to the folks that's doing the coaching through Napoleon Hill Institute, which is, golly, it's really making a difference. The people, it's just been remarkable with Cleona and Chris Murray and Mark McCollum and Scott Edwards, and working with Cleona and we copyrighted the name Napoleon Hill Institute because he actually had a division called Napoleon Hill Institute, and we have a lot of old letterheads and stuff that had Napoleon Hill Institute. We thought that was a tremendous name for do coaching, and the receptions started in the middle of January with the Napoleon Hill Institute. It's been absolutely remarkable. We're helping a lot of people. And all
Are you going to be in New York at the opening thing?
Yes, I'm going up on the 26th. I'll be there 3 nights, 26th, 27th, and 28th.
Yeah, yes, Cleona and I hosted the Saturday thing with her last weekend. And yeah, she said she's going to send me the invitation. We'll see. I haven't received it yet, but I love Cleona. She's amazing. She's very busy too.
Yeah, I did too. I met her at she came to California to see me when we called it Ramey's.
Yep. Ramey's one of my favorite people on this planet. That man is.
I love Ramey. I love Ramey. I could do a whole show on that thing. And there's the thing for doing favors. He called me probably 3 years ago or something, and I listened to his story, and I told him, I said, you should write a book.
Yeah.
Maybe. Think so? Yeah. I said, you got a good story. You should write it and share it. And then I've read the manuscript and whatever, and helped him. And he called one day and wanted to come and see me. And I said, well, a Sunday would be good. I said, after church. He said, well, I got my own plane. And he did. And I picked him and Courtney up, took them out to eat, and spent some time with them in the office, took them back to the plane. And he's been good to me. And I called to thank him, and he invited me out, and that's when I got to meet you and Cleona and Justin and some wonderful people. So and it all resulted. I did a favor for him. I could have said, Ramey, I don't have time to do a book, or even not even talk to him. But I wasn't expecting nothing in return. I wasn't expecting anything. I wouldn't tell him I'd charge him or anything. I just told him I'd help him, and because he had a good story, and he did, and I just love him. I do it then on Saturday when I can, but the last one I missed. The last one I was traveling. My wife had been gone 8 years on that date, and my daughter and I, we planned a trip to Bourne Rock to North Carolina, the little park, and do some shopping and have a good meal down there in the mountains.
That's awesome.
But
well, Don, I thank you from the bottom of my heart, and anything I can do to help you and help more people get a copy of this book, I'm in. Just ask and I'll help. So thank you so much. I genuinely appreciate you, and I know everybody watching certainly appreciates the wisdom that you've shared today. Now, I would say to everyone watching, whether you buy the copy of this book or I buy it for you, or however this pans out, don't do what 80% of the people that buy books do, and that is set it aside and never read it. Pick up this book, start reading it, start writing notes on how you can apply what he's teaching in this to your life and your business, and take action. Because that, you said it the other day, you said that the overarching message in this book is take action.
Yeah, in fact, that was in the title. It was Achieving Success with Action, and the publicity department, they like the Napoleon Hill secret. The word action is in Think and Grow 77 times. So hopefully there's from Tom. I cherish my copy of Think and Grow You signed with me at Ramey's. We're going to do that again with Ramey sometime. I'm not sure it'll be at what the time would be. He's a busy individual, but I'm sure sometime this year I expect we'll do another event at Ramey's. It was just a wonderful gathering of people.
I love teasing Ramey. I'll call him and he'll answer, and I'll say, stop acting like you're a busy billionaire. And he'll laugh. He just laughs and shakes his head at me. I love that guy. He's amazing. And you're amazing.
He's got a wonderful story. And I mean, he treated me. So I stayed 3 nights with him when I was out there, and he offered to come fly and pick me up, and I said, Ramey, what's it cost to fly a plane across country? He said, $30,000 or $40,000. I said, just get me a ticket. I said, you pick me up at the airport.
Right. Let's spread that cost out to all those other people on the plane too.
Yeah, he's got his mind's amazing. I mean, but to be around people like him and Justin and Russell and all these people like that, if we only get a few sentences here or there that we can put to use. And that's what I tell people when you read a book or you read something. What does this mean to me? Where can I use this? Don't read it like a novel. I can find out the boy got the girl or the uncle died and left the money. Write your own story. Everybody's got a story. But if you follow the advice, what you get from others and through good books, you can write your own story. And the thing says take action. Absolutely. Napoleon Hill says success, the hardest part for everybody is simply getting started. Most people never start. They're looking behind them, afraid somebody's going to criticize them, their spouse is going to make fun of them, or whatever. And I love what Napoleon Hill said. He said, don't tell people what you're going to do, show them.
Yep. Amen. I totally agree with that. I live by that philosophy too. And especially if somebody tells me I can't do it, you say I can't do it, Katie, bar the door, because I'm coming.
Why do people repeat negative stuff to their subconscious? Our subconscious tends to act on what we what we feed it the most. Keep
Yeah.
saying, "I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. I can do this,"
Yeah.
until it becomes a part of it. Because we tend to believe what we tell ourselves, especially if we repeat it. If we can repeat it to us, it becomes a part of our subconscious, and we tend to act on what our thoughts are, and that's what it's all about. So
Yeah.
if you want to say something to yourself, why try not saying something that's good? This is going to be a good day. This is going to be a good day. This is going to be a good day. I can do it. I can do it. And keep telling yourself that rather than feeding yourself negative information. Because the subconscious, you don't care which one you give it. It doesn't matter what you feed into it.
Nope.
It's going to program something. The more times you repeat. How do we learn? ABCs. I don't know about you. I didn't get them all the first time. I kept saying them over and over again. I got them all. We repeat stuff. And
Yep.
our multiplication table. Somebody walks up, Ken, what's 8 times 8? 64. May have been 6th grade the last time you said it, but you said it so many times it becomes a part of your subconscious. So why would we want to put garbage into our subconscious mind for? And then tend to act on it, and then say, well, that's what I thought. I didn't think I'd make it. Self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yep.
So why not give ourselves good information? Don't let the other people, don't think of what other people are going to criticize you or make fun of you or what have you, because most of them would give anything to change places with you.
Yep.
So be someone that people are envious of rather than you being envious of others. Being an example is, heard Jim Rohn said, if you be an example, they got them in the Bible. People, good example, bad examples. All I'm telling you is, if you ever get put in a book, try to be the good example.
I absolutely love it. And it goes back to Think and Grow Rich, the power of auto suggestion. Like you got it.
Let's, Cynthia already bought. Thanks. Yes. Absolutely. There's a book that it says, what do you say when you talk to yourself? And that's all it is. It's auto suggestion.
Yep.
It's the most important conversation we're having in our life. Someone could walk up to Ken and you're not dressed right. And Ken think, yeah, I think I'm pretty good. I bet he compliments all day long. But then when Ken looks in the mirror and says, Ken, you ain't dressed, we tend to believe what we tell ourselves. We tend to believe good or bad. Good or bad. We tend to believe what we say, especially if we keep repeating the thing till it becomes a part of us.
Amen. Man, Don, this has been amazing. Thank you again. I'm going to end the live stream, but I want to say thank you to you and thank you to everybody who's been on here and shared this out. If you haven't shared it yet, go ahead and share it. And man, this has been absolutely incredible. So much wisdom. Go out and get a copy of this book. And if you haven't, if you've already gotten it, go get another copy or 2 or 3 or 10 and give it out to your friends and your family and even your enemies. They need it too. So God bless y'all. Don, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you so much. Don't leave me though. Don't leave. Don't leave. It's going to feel like I left, but I ain't left. I promise. Give me one more minute here to wrap the show up. Thank you all so much. Go ahead, Don.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate everybody that took the time out to listen in, and I just want to help any way we can.
And he means that. He means that. So thank you all so much. We'll see you later. Have a great day. Stay with me, Don.
Okay.